Hey, this is Mike Lindsay from Vital MX. I'm here to give you a first look on the newly announced 2022 Kawasaki KX450SR, aka the Special Racer. Now, this is a terminology that Kawasaki has used for a long time on their bikes. You see in MXGP, All Japan Nationals. They've even used it a few times in the US, but it's usually kind of a designation for a factory or works bike. That's what the Special Racer terminology, they've used that there. This is the first time we've seen a production motorcycle, though, with it. You know, this is definitely following the trend that we've seen that KTM started originally with the Dungey or Factory Edition bike that they carried over with the Husky Rockstar Edition that they've done with a 250 before. And then Honda was the first of the Japanese brands to come in with the Works Edition last year. Yes, we've seen, Honda, Kao, and Yamaha do some special colorways before. Suzuki's done it with the Ricky Carmichael Edition on the old Arm 250, but really all those were graphics. Just kind of a look, maybe different colored plastic. This, though, like I said, falls in line more with those Factory and Works Edition bikes. Yes, it's a more expensive bike by a couple $1,000s, but it's coming with a lot of goodies on the bike. Some of them are aftermarket bits that you could go out and get, but then there's even a couple little things thrown in here that are kind of unobtainium that you would normally not actually be able to buy. So we're going to run down the highlights list and we're going to break it down. So keep it quick on the highlights. What really makes this bike different than the standard 2022 Kawasaki KX450 is a cylinder head with polished intake ports. Got its own little bit of head spec change there. It's got a complete Pro Circuit Tie 6 titanium exhaust system. It has optimized ECU fuel injection settings for this exhaust system and head change. It has, this is the big one here, KYB front and rear suspension components. We'll get to that here in just a second. X-Trick Rocks tech strip clamps with PHDS, progressive handlebar damping system, DID Dirt Start STX rims, a DID gold chain, Renthal rear sprocket, a Kawasaki Monster Energy race team inspired color and graphics kit, and a Hinson clutch cover with Kawasaki Racing Team logo. So let's start with the engine. Like I said, starting off first, we have a cylinder head with a polished intake port. So that's really the only difference. The head, there's nothing different with the seats, the valve train. Really, it's not an angle job or anything like that. It's just a little bit cleaning up of those intake ports. The entire Tie 6 Pro exhaust system, as far as I'm aware, is the same as the spec that you go out and buy from Pro Circuit. There's nothing of note that says it's, any different or anything like that. It does have the little bit different colored sticker kit on it that you normally only see on the race team systems that they give to Kawasaki, to the factory team. And then, like I said, we've got that stock ECU, has some updated fuel injection settings to kind of match these changes to optimize that power in the curve. Moving on from there, there's no changes, of course, chassis-wise or anything of that nature. The actual swing arm frame, all those components are the same. Moving in more of that handling side, we do have X-Trick Rocks tech trip clamps. As far as I'm aware, the way they're listing this should be the same offset as stock in the bike. So I think we're looking around 22 millimeter offset. The neat part is it is kind of the split clamp design, allows for a little bit better flex character, allows for a little bit more consistent clamping of the fork, so you relieve some of that tension when the lower tube is passing through the upper tube. It has the PHDS bar mounts that they're famous for, and the top trip clamp has the 9 option holes, or not actual 9 holes, 3 holes, but the bar mounts have a forward and rear offset, so you have a total of 9 options that you could set the handlebars at. Now, the big thing talking about handling in this bike is you would kind of throw in that category is the suspension. This is really unique. We've seen, the KTMs have never really, and the Huskies have never really done anything unique with the suspension. Last year, Honda has the Works Edition. It's got the full Kashima upper tubes, Thai nitride, kind of more of a multicolored blue lower, something that really appeals more like the factory fork. And then a little bit of I think it had the 18 mil shock shaft. So that was a little bit of a dress up, and knowing that this bike was coming from Kawasaki, that's kind of what I expected to see was, okay, they've got the lower tube coating, maybe they'll change that lower coating a little bit, they'll go to a Kashima upper, but it's kind of interesting. This shows how far in advance they really think out these models and have to plan, is based on what you're seeing now with Kawasaki, with Jason Anderson, Adam Cianciarulo. The brand is very dedicated to Showa, the production bike is Showa. This bike has KYBs front and rear. Yes, the departing face of the brand, Eli Tomac, has been on KYB the whole time he's been with Kawasaki, and you know, this is really cool because it makes this bike unique to the fact that it actually comes with, you know, suspension, arguably kit level suspension that is not production on the motorcycle, on the standard one, like a completely different brand. So that definitely adds some value, because if you were to buy a KX450 and want to put KYBs on it, that's a pretty high cost. We're talking, you know, $5,000, $6,000, $7,500 right there. This is just added in on the bike, and like I said, it kind of shows that they weren't planning probably on Tomac leaving. You know, they probably started planning on this bike over a year ago, ordering the components. Wouldn't have been surprised if this bike probably would have had number 3 on it on the showroom floor, but it doesn't. So like I said, that's the big standout item with this motorcycle. Everything else, front end, brakes, wise, is all the same. Like I said, they have updated the quality of the rim a little bit. Instead of the standard DID, we have the STX, which is their strongest offering out there. It is laced up to a standard hub, though, nothing too fancy there. Other than that, we've got a lot of the dress-up kit. You've got like green Renthal fat bar pad and pad wrap, all the little graphics trim to look a lot like the race team bike, just the plastic combo. Other than that, we've also got the black Renthal rear sprocket and a gold DID 520 ERT3 chain, kind of their highest quality motocross chain non-O-ring that we see. Last couple of things, like I said, the dress-up kit, we already covered the graphics and look of it, already covered the pipe, and then you also have the Hinson clutch cover with the Kawasaki Racing Team logo on it that's normally, you know, only available if you hit up Hinson. Hey, can I get a Honda logo on? Can I get the Cowie logo, the KTM? They'll be like, no way. So, item that's usually reserved only for the team. They did a batch of them for this thing. Overall, like I said, your big talking points, a little bit of engine character there with the head change, the mapping in the pipe. You get that little bit stouter power. Just like any of these 450s, the Cowie is a very broad power. It's nothing too exciting out of the box, though, for overall output, so any little bit added bit there is cool. Like I said, the really unique item there is that KYB SSS fork. It's the latest generation 25mm piston version, like that's been coming on the Yamahas. Full coated DLC lowers, anodized black lugs, Kashima uppers. We've got a shock body on. It's a little bit different Kashima blend than what we see on the standard KX250 shock body, done up anodized adjusters, and then a DLC 16mm shaft kit in there. Man, honestly, it's with the MSRP at $12,399. It's about $3,000 more than the normal bike. But with that kit suspension there being a totally different brand, what it would cost you to switch over to that, if that's what you're into, if that's what you want to do to your Cowie 450, or that's kind of tickled your fancy, but you're not normally going to go buy the bike, buy the exhaust, dial it in, and then go spend, like I said, the over $7,000 on the kit suspension, this is actually a pretty decent buy for once, for one of these works editions. Like I said, just off the showroom floor, kind of being a little bit more dialed in and not having to go out and search and hunt down these parts. And overall, like I said, if you add up the cost of everything, you're actually saving a decent bit of coin on this one. Especially the really cool part, it'll be fun to hopefully get to test this bike, is the fact that these KYB units have been tested and set up for this bike. It's a different setting that's what's in the Showa suspension. Arguably, that's the one drawback for me on the Cowie 450 since 2019. They've never updated that suspension setting. I think the bike could still be a little bit better balanced out of the box. So it'll be really interesting to maybe get our hands on one of these and, you know, figure out, you know, with all that data and all their feedback since that bike got updated in 19, what they were able to do with these units. But like I said, overall, it's really cool to see more options out there. I'm curious what everybody thinks of the works editions, the factory editions. Throw it in the comments section below. Do you think they're worth it? Do you think they're just outrageously expensive? Do you think this one stands out more than any of the other ones released? Do you think this will make the other OEMs, you know, step up? Let's hear it. If you like more content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like. I can guarantee almost the majority of you watching this video probably are not subscribed to our channel. Even if you see our content pop up a lot, it would mean a lot to us if you did, so we can keep pumping out stuff like this for you guys to check out.